morning, and thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to get involved in our NI Business Podcast. Would you like to go ahead, introduce yourself, and let us all know a bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. My name is Chirag Kumar. I am the CTO of Lumion Labs. We help grid scale battery asset owners to optimize the amount of revenue they make from basically charging and dispatching to the electricity grid. We're currently working out of New York City because we got recently accepted into a business accelerator here called ER in New York. Happy to go into all the details and all the fun stuff behind everything that goes on.
Cool. So, tell us a bit more. Like, how long have you guys been in business? And who would be your most ideal customer? Who is it you'd most like to hear this and most like to work with?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been at this since November of 2024. So me and my co-founder, we met on Y Combinator co-founder matching, which is pretty crazy in its own regard. We were working on our own projects, and then we found out about Founder Labs that runs in Belfast through one of our close friends, and we decided to apply. And that kind of kicked off the entire journey that's been ongoing so far. Our ideal customer is an independent power producer with battery assets or private equity companies that own energy infrastructure, specifically giant shipping container sized batteries that they basically use to make more revenue. And we believe we can do up to a 30% increase in the amount of revenue they can make if they work with us to basically charge and dispatch to the grid.
Cool. And how do you guys actually do that then? Is it like economy of scale, or how do you achieve that?
So the batteries we are talking about are worth anywhere between like $3 million to $10 million per asset, and that what that basically means that in terms of energy terms is it's anywhere between 6 to 20 megawatts. So that's quite a big asset in its own regard, and these assets are required by the grid at certain times of the day, weeks, so on and so forth, and places like, I guess, regulators like National Grid will call upon these assets to basically top up when the grid needs extra electricity, or if there are times where there's over generation and they want these energy to be coming off the grid. Stuff like that. There's obviously a multitude of energy markets, which are very similar to a stock market that's running behind the scenes,
Yeah.
that dispatches and charges electricity every single second, and we just work in that market.
Cool. And how was the idea born, or how did you end up getting to work in this market?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've basically worked in energy most of my life, and to the point where I thought I didn't understand enough about electricity to basically go do a full master's in renewable energy over at Newcastle University. Since then, we started, I guess, having early conversations with utility companies. Think of companies similar to Octopus Energy, but on like a smaller scale that operate out of UK and Ireland. And as we spoke to them, my specialization was in batteries. So there were smaller batteries, there were mid-sized batteries, and there were large-sized batteries. So we went through the whole process of basically not looking at small scale, but the mid and large, and then slowly iterated to find out what's their biggest pain point. It was how much amount of revenue they can make from each battery asset, and how do they know that they can make X amount of money, and just iterated on that until we reached where we are today.
Cool. And so, is there any competitors to what you guys are doing, or are you have you created a niche?
There's always competitors. If somebody says that there are no competitors, that's absolute non-truth. I think that's one of the most important things in the world. Everything's either an iteration of something that already exists, or there's always competitors in adjacent markets. For us, the competitors that we have, um, in Europe, I think the best way to say it will be Dexter Energy. They're pretty big in Netherlands and a couple other European countries. Um, in the UK alone, a jet it would probably be adjacent ones. So it's probably not worth going into that. In the US, the likes of Taiba and Saiso, that those would be basically who we are. Uh,
Cool. And what does it set you guys apart then? What's your USP or what makes you different?
at the moment, there are two types of optimization that goes on in the market. One of them is the algo side, where just do X when Y happens. That's essentially how algos work. And then on the other side, you've got certain sophisticated algorithms that are like black boxes, which means they don't tell you how things are going behind the scenes, X, Y, and Z. Just think of it as I'll give you my software, it'll tell you what to do, and that's it. You won't find out more. You make a bit more money, you don't understand what's happening behind the scenes. Sometimes there's not even audits and so on and so forth. We come in, we're kind of in the middle where we are both trying to automate the dispatch and charging alongside trading and monitoring. When we trade, we kind of basically show to the private equity or the IPP owners to basically say like, hey, this is why our AI optimization did X, Y, and Z. Here's what all the factors that we're looking at. It kind of gives like a transparency to the asset owner that this is why it did something like that, so that you can start thinking about tweaking whether you don't like a certain strategy, whether you don't like a certain way of dispatch, or the other side, which is I like do more of this, or I really like the way you're looking at these specific points. Try to find more of these and try to trade in those kind of markets. So I think one of our biggest one is transparency, and the second one is speed. So happy to go into a lot more details, but that goes super technical in that regard. So
Oh no, like I mean, you're definitely, you've gone beyond my expertise. So I mean, what if I'm getting it right? Then it's like basically you test and measure, and what works, then you go big on, and what doesn't, you set it aside. Is that in layman's terms what you guys do?
absolutely, I think that's the best way to describe it.
And so I mean, obviously you're quite new into this journey, just over 6 months. I mean, what does the future look like for you guys? What does the next 5 years look like, and what do you see as the main challenges moving forward?
The next 5 years, we believe in the next 5 years we'll probably get about 100 batteries that we will be operating out of, which essentially means that we have a portfolio of batteries that we're always optimizing for, not on a portfolio level, but on a per battery level. And that puts us in a sort of different way, such that there is a separate AI team that's working per battery and not on a portfolio level where it's looking at the whole thing. We'll probably be doing anywhere between, I guess, multitude of numbers might not make any sense, but we're working on super hard problems that actually help the world be a better place every single day. Um, the likes of having blackouts is exactly what we're trying to prevent. So we're trying to actively work towards a world where energy consumption is super high and the grid is always strained, and we're trying our very best to make sure that the grid doesn't break down by actively participating and making the grid a better place.
Sure. And what about you then? So that's the business, but what about you? What if you had to learn, and what do you think you'll have to be better at to deliver a company that does that?
Um, so me and my co-founder, we're both very technical.
Hmm.
But that also doesn't mean that we know everything that goes on in the business and that we're absolutely 100% great at everything that we do.
Sure.
So we realize that we're not good at certain things, and that we try to supplement that by either having advisors that help us do that, or to get in extra help that we know we are not good at X, Y, and Z places. It's, I guess, we know what our known unknowns are, and we're trying
Yeah.
to actively supplement that.
Yeah.
There are certain times we know that there is a unknown unknown, and it's hard to figure that out.
Sure.
And
So
that's what we're trying to
you're looking to strengthen your blind spots then with extra support essentially.
absolutely.
Cool. And what have you learned? What's been your biggest lesson since you've been in business then?
So this is actually not my first time doing this. So I
Sure.
previously sold a company before. A small exit, but it's probably one of the greatest achievements of my life so far.
Cool.
When you're working on your own business, I guess there is this very different shift towards passion and what gets you out of the bed every morning.
Yes.
And what I've learned is if I'm actively working on something with a giant goal in the future, which is like we're trying to make the world a better place,
Yeah, yeah, that's purpose for sure. Yeah.
it gets me out of bed and it
Yeah.
helps me make sure that actually this is something I want to continue doing for the next 10, 15 years of my life.
Yeah. So if you can operate from that vision when things get tough, then you're more likely to keep plowing through as opposed to giving up. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, working on a business is not about how many times you lose. It's about the one time that you end up winning, which basically
Yeah.
changes your entire trajectory. And it's always remembering that the lows are going to be super low, but the highs are going to
Yeah.
be even higher. So
Yeah. Very cool. And what would you say then if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, let's say, speak to yourself as like a 15-year-old kid, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
I thought I was super technical at 18. I was so stupid.
Okay.
So I would say double down on the amount of technical knowledge that you can gain. And I think I wouldn't change anything else in that regards. Like everything else you can supplement, but you got to know the ins and out of the technical side. The more you know that, the better the world will look in a very different way.
Very cool. Very cool. Listen, look, thank you for taking some time out, especially with the time difference. I know it's very early there where you are in New York. And I appreciate you taking the time out to get involved, and all the best with the accelerator over there.
Thank you so much, Scott. It was great
Thank
talking
you.
to you.